Hey, John.
Hello.
Hello. Once again, we had the serious music, so you know what that means. Last time you called this a special session, so we got another special session. Spencer Elg, outside counsel, N.F.A. As you know, this is episode 71. Episode 68 we did back in October. We talked to Spencer. He's been working with the N.F.A., with the whole Save Our Fireworks thing. It's the CPSC is considering these sweeping changes, most in 50 years, he said. And one of the proposals is that metal in the fireworks. And the metal in the fireworks will, from what he says, it's going to make it pop less, right?
Well, yeah, you're not gonna have the vibrant colors. You're not gonna have the big explosion. Not big break, I should say.
Right.
Big break. It's gonna be more of a charcoal look, more of a darker look. So you're not gonna have any of those nice, big, wide, vibrant colors. Like they say, neon colors. You're not gonna have none of that.
Right. So the CPSC is looking at a zero tolerance policy with that metal in the fireworks, and obviously. The N.F.A. and Spencer, they've been fighting this proposed change, and Spencer's agreed to talk to us again.
Oh, good. I hope we get good news. I mean, I have a lot riding on this.
Yeah, you seem to be
career.
You seem to be a little, you're a little negative, Nancy, though.
Yeah, well.
Spencer Elg.
Spencer, hey, good afternoon. This is Ron and John from the Fireworks Brigade. How are you?
How are you?
Hi, Ron and John. I'm doing well. How about you?
Well, you tell us. You're the man with the answers.
we were just talking about how with the CPSC changes, and you talked to us early October, and you agreed to speak to us again and give us a little bit of an update about what's been going on with the CPSC and with these proposed sweeping changes to fireworks. Most significantly is that the metal in the fireworks. So we could just take it from there and let us know what's been going on.
Sure, great, thank you. And so I'm outside counsel for the National Fireworks Association. Basically, I'm their attorney. And the rule at issue, as we discussed the last time we talked, involves the most sweeping changes to fireworks in decades. And the critical proposed change that the National Fireworks Association, or N.F.A., is opposed to is a proposed prohibition on any powdered metals in the burst charges of aerial fireworks. So these are the fireworks you shoot off into the sky, and then once they're 50, 60 feet in the air, there's an effect that goes off, and that's your stars and your sound and the display and the glittering and all so forth. CPSC wants to take the metals out of the burst charge. And as N.F.A. has stated repeatedly on the record, there's no reason to do that. First of all, there's zero evidence whatsoever to show that the burst charge is associated with any injuries and that prohibiting metals will have any impact whatsoever on injuries. And second, a big problem is that those metals in the burst charge are necessary to create some of those visual effects that people love to and enjoy watching. So that's kind of where we left things off the last time we spoke. Two events have happened since then. First, on November 8th, the National Fireworks Association met with Commissioner Feldman and staff for Commissioner Biacco. Now, the CPSC has 5 commissioners who ultimately have to vote on or not vote on this proposed rule. So they're the decision makers. So N.F.A. went in, met with the newest commissioner, Commissioner Feldman, was able to introduce the commissioner to the National Fireworks Association, explain that this is an organization that is concerned about safety and that is concerned about protecting industry, and that when looking at this rule, we saw a lot of harm to industry without any benefit to safety. At that meeting were a variety of individuals, including Don Lantis, who's the president of N.F.A., and Steve Hauser, who is the secretary. And the National Fireworks Association also met with the staff for Commissioner Biacco. Now, we had met with Commissioner Biacco previously when she became a commissioner, and this was a follow-up meeting with her staff to explain more in detail N.F.A.'s position. The commissioners don't take sides in these matters. They weigh all of the evidence and information in front of them. They listen to all stakeholders, and they try to make an informed decision on what's presented in front of them. And that's why it's so important that N.F.A. went in and met with them and explained our concerns, is because there's some voices in the industry that have been telling a very different story to the commissioners. And so this was a great opportunity for us to go in and make our case. So that was the first event in November, and I'll pause and see if you have any questions on that before I move to the second event.
John?
I don't have any questions. I just, you know, for our standpoint, I agree wholeheartedly with the N.F.A. because taking metals out is not going to do anything for safety. And if the Consumer Product Safety Commission is all about safety, yes, taking the metals out will not make any firework safer. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. I have no questions as far as I understand how the commissioners work there and stuff like that. So yeah, I have no questions.
So you had this meeting. So the next part of your story is you're going to be able to tell us what exactly happened at the meeting and what went down.
Well, as I mentioned, the meeting pretty much had two parts to it. It was an introduction to N.F.A., letting them know that we are the largest fireworks organization by member size, that we represent a broad range of the industry, and unlike some of these other groups that are dominated by kind of a small group of very large businesses, N.F.A. is very much a voice that speaks for a broader swath of the industry and is able to express concerns that small businesses have that often aren't held in or voiced in these other organizations. And then the second part was going through all the reasons, the technical reasons, the scientific reasons, and the legal reasons why N.F.A. is opposed to the rule, which we've discussed on the prior podcast as well.
Right. Okay. And this is a new commissioner. Did you get the sense that the new commissioner was more open than the acting commissioner prior, or is that a good thing for us to have a new commissioner?
I think all of the commissioners are well-intentioned and try to do what they think is right for consumer safety. So I don't know, if one is better than the other. What I will say about this commissioner, like the others, is he seems very earnest in trying to figure out what is the right path forward. And I think one of the benefits to having a new commissioner is that when this rule was initially proposed years ago, it was presented as if there was unanimous industry support behind it, which was false. It was not true, but it was presented as such. And so I think that it's possible that initial opinions that were formed about the rule may have been formed around that understanding that there was an industry consensus when there actually wasn't.
Right.
So having a new commissioner kind of gives us a new slate where we can go in at the very beginning, and the very first time that he looks at this rule, he understands that there is not industry consensus. To the contrary, most of the industry is strongly against this proposal.
Right. Communication is key, and that's why a group such as the N.F.A. that can kind of, gather support from everyone, and really focus it, laser focus into why it's not full support for this type of changes is huge, because like you said, they want, they're altruistic. They want to do the right thing, and they're trying to do the right thing. But if all they know is what they've been told, and they've been told something false, they're going to make a decision not based on reality, which can really affect a lot of people.
Yeah, because they don't always know reality in every field.
And that's why someone like Spencer and the N.F.A. is huge to speak for everyone, because you need that type of lobbying and that type of support.
Yeah, and the support we got from all the members and everyone else as well. So that's helping out spread the word at least.
Okay, so what happened on the second phase of this meeting?
This is I think this is a great segue to the second event that happened in November.
Okay.
As you'll recall, this rule, the way it gets proposed is it comes up from a staff proposal, and the CPSC staff members are the scientists and the technical experts and those who work on this rule. They are very well trained, and they're certainly excellent scientists. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that they are not specialists in fireworks. They don't work in the fireworks industry. They don't rely on selling fireworks. And most of them live in states where aerial fireworks are not even allowed by law. So if you live, for example, in Maryland or D.C. or Virginia, where most of these folks live and work, you don't see aerial fireworks. Your friends aren't shooting them off at the 4th of July. You're not seeing them at the New Year's. You're not seeing them after your kids' ball games. And so they're regulating something that they are not exposed to on a daily basis. Now, one of the issues that N.F.A. has raised repeatedly about this proposed rule, and this is just one of the issues, there are many others, but one of the issues is that N.F.A. takes the position that it makes no sense to prohibit powdered metals on the basis that you're trying to limit the energetic if you allow in other powders that have more energetics than those that you are prohibiting. It's kind of like saying you can't have a V8 engine because it's too fast and outlawing those, but allowing people to have Teslas who can drive, even faster. And it really creates an uneven playing field, because then the question is, well, who can get the Tesla? And, what if I don't have money, or I don't have, that available to me? And if he gets to drive that fast, why can't I? And there's lots of questions about what's fair. Well, even though it's pretty commonly known within the fireworks industry that there are lots of powders without powdered metal that can be more explosive or more energetic than powders with powdered metals, that fact was not clear in this rulemaking proceeding. So N.F.A. went out and they commissioned testing, and they hired a third-party tester that's a DOT-approved testing facility that did testing on some powders. They tested a whistle composition. Now, as we all know, whistle mix is used in ground devices that make a whistling sound. They've been used for decades in ground devices, and that's why they're called whistle mixes, is because they make that sound when they're in those ground devices. And they don't have any powdered metal. And then N.F.A. tested another burst charge formulation that did have powdered metals. And the testing came back, and it showed, as everybody knew it would, that the formulation, the whistle mix without powdered metals, was more energetic than what had powdered metals. So in other words, the proposed rule was going to allow things that were more energetic than things it was not allowing. Well, N.F.A. submitted this data, and it was a very simple point they were trying to prove. And in November, N.F.A. received a response from the CPSC staff. And there are two things about the CPSC staff's response to N.F.A.'s testing that are quite remarkable. The first thing that was remarkable was the level of scrutiny that the CPSC staff gave to the testing done by N.F.A. They went through, they nitpicked, they quibbled over the testing methodology, they questioned the cost, they questioned various aspects of the testing in incredible detail. And what's interesting about this is that throughout the rulemaking proceeding, there's been a variety of testing that's been submitted by other fireworks organizations that sit on the other side of this issue. And CPSC has adopted their testing results wholesale without any question whatsoever, without any scrutiny. And so that was very interesting to us to see that our testing received this great amount of scrutiny, whereas other testing results that favor CPSC's position haven't received any scrutiny whatsoever. What's even more remarkable than that, though, is despite the scrutiny and despite the criticisms of the testing methodology and the questions raised, at the end of the report, tucked into a paragraph, not in the summary, but tucked in a paragraph before the summary, the CPSC staff actually acknowledged the exact point that N.F.A. set out to prove. And I'll quote it. They said, staff acknowledges, and this is CPSC staff, acknowledges that many different pyrotechnic compositions exist that can be used in fireworks, and some of them are more energetic than compositions containing metallic fuels. And so it was really quite remarkable that after 3 pages of dissecting and nitpicking and quibbling over N.F.A's testing methodology, they ultimately, as they had to do because they are scientists, had to agree with the fundamental premise that N.F.A was trying to prove. And that premise is what supports N.F.A's argument that this proposed rule makes no sense, that it's completely arbitrary, because you're allowing materials that are more energetic than those that you're prohibiting, and that's not fair.
That makes sense. Would you be worried that they would start to prohibit everything then?
That's what my next question was. Yeah, they're probably, well, let's get rid of all these then.
Yeah. I mean, was there ever a concern about that, or is just, again, just proving the point that, hey, you're banning something, but there's other things that are way more energetic?
Well, that's exactly what our concern is here, is because the underlying rationale for trying to prohibit more energetic materials, and they're not doing that with this rule because of the way it's drafted, but the fundamental problem with their approach is that if you are going to say that more energetic always makes things more dangerous, and therefore you must limit the energetics, there's no end to that.
Right.
It's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope. And in fact, in oral testimony given before the CPSC, staff mentioned that they had consulted with a medical doctor who essentially said there is no safe amount of explosivity. And in prior meetings with N.F.A, CPSC staff has said, and they've actually used these words, that POW is OW. In other words, that the more POW, the more explosive or energetic that a material is, the more OW, the more danger it can create. And and with that slippery slope, again, there's no end. There's nothing to stop them from ultimately banning any energetic material. And what's especially concerning in this rulemaking is we are talking about a burst charge that goes off 60 feet in the air, and there is zero correlation, let alone causation, between powdered metals or between energetics in that burst charge and injuries. There's nothing. And so the concern you raised about, well, what if they try to, prohibit or ban other materials or continue to dial down on the energetics is exactly our concern. We've looked at the safety data over decades, and we've seen imports going up. We've seen more and more states allowing aerial devices, meaning they're being used more. We know from our members that they are the most popular items that are sold. And injuries have not budged an inch. And so that's our problem with this rule, is it doesn't help reduce injuries, it doesn't help safety, but it's likely to have a dramatic negative impact on business.
Yeah, just for a start, it'll just go downhill from there.
Yeah, they'll just keep going. It's like the old saying, give them an inch and they'll take a mile, and they'll just keep going down down that same road. Are any of the AFSL staff also on the board for the CPSC?
Well, now they're not on the board of CPSC. Those organizations, CPSC and AFSL, they do. I believe they form part of a committee together, and they certainly have close contact. And in fact, AFSL has hired away several former employees of CPSC that help them with their legal issues and their lobbying and maintaining their relationship. So, there is some coordination, but they are separate entities.
And what does the AFSL feel about are they for the no metals? Who is really behind it? I know we're not getting proper help from other organizations that should be helping us, but what does the AFSL weigh in on the banning of metals?
So AFSL and APA, I never like to speak for other organizations, but publicly they have stated that they are generally for the rule. They would like to see the proposed rule be enacted, They'd like a little higher limit on metals than has been proposed. The draft law is a 0 threshold, and AFSL and APA have at various times advocated for 3.5% powdered metal allowance, and now I believe they're at 2%, asking for a 2% powdered metal allowance. So, but neither of those levels, in N.F.A's opinion, are justifiable based on any type of science or any analysis of injury data, or really make any sense. And more importantly, from N.F.A's perspective, those very low levels are likely to have a negative impact on the industry.
No, most definitely. So I was just curious on, I know APA is, only, their only biggest concern is their 1.3 professional fireworks. And I know that they, big members of the APA are all into the safe and sane market, which they kind of control. So I had a feeling we wouldn't get any help from APA. And the AFSL, a lot of those same guys are behind AFSL, and I think they're also ones that would just love to see fireworks go down to a safe and sane limit because they control it. And it seems that, but what I think the biggest part all these companies are missing is without aerial fireworks, there really will not be a need for safe and sane fireworks. I think those people will just get out of playing with fireworks altogether. So we could all be losers. We will all be losers in time with this new ruling, it seems to me.
Well, I think that's right, and I think it's very important also that if the government is going to regulate fireworks on a national level, we know fireworks are regulated at the local level, they're regulated at the state level, and individual people in different states get to decide for themselves what types of fireworks they want and what types they don't want. And if there's going to be federal regulation across the board that governs every single United States citizen, well, then the government has to have a really good reason to do it. They have to meet their statutory and legal obligations. And for the CPSC, that includes showing that it's likely to reduce the likelihood or frequency of injuries. And from N.F.A's perspective, they haven't done that here. And it poses an enormous burden to business. And for those reasons, N.F.A. continues to oppose the rule and will continue to oppose the rule.
The bottom line on injuries is it's always caused by somebody who's doing it the wrong way, who's using fireworks the wrong way, or just, that's plain and simple, using them the wrong way. That's when you're going to get hurt. I mean, the injuries the other way very rarely happen.
I mean, yes, today fireworks are safer now than they've ever been. And certainly that's what we're after is safe fireworks. But like we said, a burst charge going up 60 feet in the air, whether or not it looks like charcoal, whether or not it's, louder or quieter, it's not going to change the actual safety of the device.
So, Spencer, where do we go from here? We still have hashtag Save Our Fireworks, and hopefully people are in tune with that. What else can we do to help, and when do you expect some more clarity on this?
So we still have hashtag Save Our Fireworks, and that's going to continue to be a source of information. It's not entirely clear at this moment where things stand at the CPSC. There's nothing imminent on the calendar, and we don't have a clear indication on whether this will go up for a formal vote or whether there might be some proposed revisions to it first. But N.F.A. will continue to stay on top of the issue and to stay engaged. And as developments occur and as more information is learned, we will continue to put that information out, including on your podcast, hopefully,
Absolutely.
And on hashtag Save Our Fireworks. And we do appreciate all the members who sent in comments on the proposed rulemaking. There were more than 2,000 comments, 99% of them against the proposal. We appreciate the many thousands more who signed a petition that was sent into the commission advocating against this proposal. And so we really appreciate your support, all the members' support, and I suspect we will continue to reach out to you as this develops.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, please let us know, keep us informed. And every time before John and I record, I'll usually shoot you an email to see if there is any type of update. We like to get that information out there, and if anything we can do, that's huge.
Spencer, what do you think is our persistence with trying to get the other groups like APA or FSL more on board with us? Are we putting any type of pressure on them to basically join our side and letting them know the repercussions which could happen to them as well if there is no aerial fireworks? Or are we just kind of doing ourselves because they just keep turning a blind eye to us? Do we have any persistence on them?
I can say that since the beginning of this entire ordeal more than 2 years ago, the National Fireworks Association has reached out through letters, through emails, through phone calls, through meetings on multiple occasions with multiple different members and board members of APA and with AFSL, and has attempted on numerous occasions to try to reach some type of understanding to see if there wasn't a common ground, a middle road that could be reached, if there was a way that we could all come in harmonious on a unified position. And I'm disappointed to report that those efforts have generally been entirely rebuffed. And so while N.F.A. remains open and would like to see more industry cooperation, we're afraid that we don't see that being a likely event to happen given what has happened this far.
So I think on a smaller level, as I am in the fireworks business and a good-sized player in the fireworks business, I think that we need to reach out to all the other companies such as mine, and even some of the bigger ones that believe it's a good idea to belong to APA. I think we should really call on a total ban of APA membership from any company that is in the firework business that wants to see this go. And I don't think some of these members even realize that the APA, with all their fancy golf outings and everything, is actually they're not really helping them. They're actually trying, which I've always known that, but I think we really need to call for a total ban of APA membership from all these companies that are in the fireworks business that want to remain with aerial devices. And I think we need to really maybe get some comments out there and some blogs out there to see if we can reach some of these business owners that sometimes they don't even realize what's going on in the industry. They're so big up there they don't even know what's going on.
You're calling for a boycott of the APA.
Well, I would certainly say a boycott on membership, because if they have no members and they lose their membership, believe me, APA will go away faster than anybody else without members.
Is the APA bigger or smaller than the N.F.A.? Do you know?
Spencer, what do you think? Richer, I would say, right?
Well, I think that's probably not in dispute. I do believe, based on information we have, that the National Fireworks Association has the broadest member base. And as you mentioned, a lot of those members may not have as deep as pockets, but it has a broader member base. And the National Fireworks Association can neither support nor oppose anyone choosing to leave an APA. That's obviously a decision that each business would need to make for itself. And to the extent the business decided to stay in APA and didn't like its position on it, there's certainly other things that could be done, such as making sure that you're voting for those positions with people who support your view and advocating for an opportunity to provide comments on proposed standards and being able to review the positions taken before they're carried out. So, there's different ways that N.F.A. members who are concerned about this can try to move the ball forward with the other organizations.
Sure, I think so. I mean, if we have any joint membership and and like I say, it's certainly not an N.F.A. deal, but any one of us that are in the business and have mutual memberships to both organizations, I think given the circumstance, I don't think we can support N.F.A. and support APA together. I think it's really,
it certainly seems they have conflicting agendas right now. So if you were a member of both, you need to pick a side, but maybe, like you said, the people in the APA just aren't as informed, or they're not thinking it through, and they don't. There's enough to go around to make everybody happy. They don't need to try and, to do this. But yeah. Well, there you go. You're on your soapbox, John. You're ready to go.
Yeah, my next agenda will be getting up tomorrow morning and sending out some emails to certainly all of my wholesale customers, which span the United States, and saying, hey, if you guys are supporting N.F.A. and APA, we're on different sides of the fence right now, and that's basically, and it's always been clear that way. But like I say, a lot of APA members get caught up in the whole, big boy club, and these guys are so great, and and of course they're so wealthy. But the bottom line is, we are on different sides of the fence right now, and I think the only way to get our message across the APA to jump onto our side is to decrease their membership on their side, and maybe they'll realize that without the members, they are still nobody.
Is it exclusively display fireworks companies, or it's both?
No, it's both.
Okay. So, but it's more geared towards display fireworks.
Well, a lot of their big members are in the display firework business, and the other big members are also the ones who monopolize the safe and sane market.
The safe and sane, right? And and you see it all the time in your store. People, they don't really come in just to buy safe and sane. They buy the big stuff, and then the kids go buy the safe and sane. If they can't buy the big stuff or the aerials, then they're not going to come shopping for it anymore.
And I agree that is what's going to happen. And I don't know why the big players don't see that as well, because it's, safe and sane market is really, I think, dictated to the children by the parents to get them used to fireworks in general, because the parents enjoy fireworks as well. So I see a industry without fireworks is an industry without fireworks, not just certain types of fireworks.
Right. Well, Spencer, hey, as always, thank you so much for calling us. And as you can hear, John's on his soapbox, so I'll let you go, and maybe John will just keep railing afterwards when you hang up. But we appreciate you coming on, and please, you have my information. Call or email us at any time, and likewise, we'll let you know anytime we're going to do a show, and just in case you can have an update for us, that would be really great. Yeah, we certainly appreciate the N.F.A.'s efforts and your effort as well. And an exhausting, it's an exhausting battle. But so, and previously we had people contacting this Anne Marie Berkeley at the CPSC. Now, should they just go to hashtag Save Our Fireworks, or should they try and contact Commissioner Feldman?
Well, I think at this point the best thing to do is to just stay informed, check back on hashtag Save Our Fireworks. Okay. And if we need to reach out and try to contact commissioners in the future or file public comments, we'll let everybody know. Sounds great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, Spencer. All right. Thank you. Until next time. Bye. Bye-bye. There you go, John. Well, that was, you got up on your soapbox there. He's a lawyer. He's not going to start saying we should boycott the APA. Oh, I'm not saying that. No, but no, I get it. The reason I wanted to just see how they're weighing in now, because they didn't weigh in the beginning, right? And see, the AFSL. We pay them 50 cents a package. What does the AFSL stand for? American Fireworks Standards Laboratory. Oh, you pay them 50 cents? We pay them 50 cents a carton. Okay. Okay. I did not know that. And it's always been presented that if you pay this 50 cents a carton, your fireworks will probably not be looked at by CPSC, because CPSC believes in the AFSL. Okay. And the AFSL has higher standings to the CPSC. So if CPSC allows this, say CPSC allows 1/10 of a burst charge, AFSL says, no, we're only going to give you 1/2 of a tenth. So they're actually more stricter than the CPSC.
Right. So the thought being is if you pass the 50 cents a case or whatever, you're going to get this stamp on there. You're good to go. CPSC won't bug you.
Yeah, and that's not always the case because I've had fireworks tested by AFSL and it has flunked CPSC. And then the AFSL did nothing for me in the meantime. You know, they said, oh, well, if you do, we'll contact. They did nothing for me, you know.
But they took your 50 cents.
But they take my 50 cents. So, and it's also, like I say, they do share the same, what he say was not on the same board, but they're committee groups.
Right, right.
So we got AFSL members and we got CPSC members on the same committee group. But once again, the AFSL is benefiting the 50 cents a carton.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of like join AFSL and you don't have to worry about anybody else. But the bottom line is AFSL was formed by big players that want a level playing ground and monopolize the safe and sane market. I mean, there's no secret behind that. That's for sure.
Right.
So, and that is also why the APA is probably 90% behind this, because 90% of those people don't care about aerial fireworks as long as they can have their 1.3 fireworks and as long as they can keep the safe and sane because they control that market anyways. So if we all went away, the APA would not care about companies such as Star Fireworks and different companies at my size.
No.
Because they don't want me to try and break into the safe and sane market, nor do they think I could, nor can I probably, because they already control it and they have big, big, deep pockets. So if anyone is a member of APA, and if you're a member of PGI and a member of N.F.A., I really think you need to look again at your membership, what APA is charging for, because they're charging you a heck of a lot of money to belong to their club, and they're not even standing behind the actual fireworks industry. In fact, they're doing everything in their power, it seems, to wreck the firework industry as we know it.
Yeah, it does certainly seem like it's a disservice to the fireworks industry. It's, you know, it can't be good. You want everybody to be happy with all types of fireworks. I mean, people who buy display fireworks, you know, you're not display fireworks people aren't going to make more money if the people can't buy consumer fireworks. It's not, you can't go buy display fireworks unless you have a license. I mean,
yes.
So it seems
see, nobody cares
ridiculous
if it doesn't affect them.
Oh, well, right, exactly, right.
You know.
Yeah, well, maybe it's just a case of, like you said, they're not well. They're not well informed. So some of these APA members they don't know really what's going on, or they haven't thought it through, and they just figure what they hear is fine, and we'll go from there.
Well, some members, such as myself, you feel like, hey, you're in the fireworks industry. Let's join the let's join PGI and let's join N.F.A. and let's join APA.
Are you a member of APA?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Because I investigate my organizations before I join them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm in the fireworks industry. I wanna go to all these outings and I want to see everybody and meet everybody," but I pick and choose which ones I want to belong to based on my views and the views of my industry. And it was clearly presented years ago what the APA represents, and that's why you need deep pockets to join the APA. It's not something that any small firework company can even join unless they want to spend a lot of money that they probably don't have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of people just join everything as long as they can. And the bottom line is if it's clearly one side against the other, and that's why APA has not weighed in on any of this, because they're basically probably the ones that started it. Now, also a big supporter of APA, TNT Fireworks, they came out with a hotline for people to call up if anyone is using aerial fireworks.
Wasn't it an app on the phone?
Yeah, app on the phone.
We talked about that.
Hotline.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anybody that would do that to our fireworks industry really do not belong in the fireworks industry. Right. And so these are the type of people you're supporting by giving them their memberships. And if you take away their membership money, you'll see how they are not as strong as they think they are.
Right.
They're only as strong as their members, and that's what we all have to remember. out there is without membership, we are nothing. And I urge everyone to join N.F.A. If you're in the fireworks industry and you're not, and you haven't joined, I urge you to join PGI because it's a lot of fun as well. Not as political as N.F.A. or APA, but we need politics and we need our lobbyists. So definitely support N.F.A. and all the things that Nancy Blodgett and John Blodgett and Cam Starr, the founder of my company, did for the firework organization. Those guys are turning in their graves right now if you're not supporting them, especially during this battle that we're having.
Yeah, Cam Starr was instrumental in getting N.F.A. established.
Yeah, he's the reason we have the 500-gram cakes. He's the reason we have the N.F.A. He felt we needed a stronger voice in Washington.
He was right.
And now, how many years later, and he certainly is right. So
yeah,
I hope we get the listenership, and we really hope to get everybody, what's that, hashtag Save Our Fireworks?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. We'll get this
Yes.
We'll get this on YouTube, the Spencer interview. We seem to get a lot of hits on that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that wraps it up. That's our series.